Have you ever sat in front of your charts, staring at a setup you know is perfect, only to watch your finger hover over the mouse button, paralyzed by the fear of losing? Or perhaps you've experienced the opposite, the rush of a winning trade that makes you feel invincible, leading you to ignore your risk management and dump your entire account into a trade that wipes you out in seconds. It's a familiar story, isn't it? You come into this game looking for freedom, looking for a way to escape the grind, but you end up trapped in a cycle of emotional chaos that feels like a prison. Why does it happen? Why do you, a rational, intelligent person, suddenly turn into a gambler the moment real money is on the line? The truth is, the market isn't just about candles, indicators, or liquidity zones. The market is a mirror. It reflects your deepest insecurities, your greed, your impatience, and your lack of discipline. You aren't fighting the market, you are fighting your own biology. Your brain is wired for survival, not for trading. In the wild, your ancestors needed to be impulsive to avoid predators. But in the digital age of trading, that same impulse is what makes you hit the buy button when you should be waiting. It's what makes you hold a losing trade because you're too stubborn to admit you're wrong. You see, the market is designed to extract money from those who are not in control of their emotions. It's a game of patience, and most traders lose because they treat it like a casino. They want the dopamine hit of the win, not the boring, repetitive process of execution. When you trade with emotion, you are essentially letting the market dictate your state of mind. If you win, you're on top of the world. If you lose, your self-worth crumbles. This is the core of the problem. You have tied your identity to your P&L. And as long as you do that, you will never be a consistent trader. Think about it. If you were a surgeon, would you be emotional if a surgery didn't go as planned? No, you'd analyze the procedure, learn from the mistake, and move on to the next patient. Trading is no different. It's a craft. It's a business. It's a series of probabilities. But when you treat every trade like a personal attack, you lose your ability to think clearly. You start overtrading to make back what you lost. You start moving your stop loss because you can't bear the pain of a small loss. You start chasing moves because you fear missing out. This is where the discipline breaks down. And let's talk about that discipline. Many traders think discipline is just about having a plan. They write down their entries, their exits, their risk per trade. They print it out and tape it to their wall. But when the market opens, the plan vanishes. Why? Because the plan exists in your logical brain, but the trade happens in your emotional brain. When the heat of the moment arrives, your prefrontal cortex, the part of you that plans, shuts down. Your amygdala takes over. That's the primitive part of your brain that handles fight or flight. You aren't trading, you're surviving. To overcome this, you have to bridge the gap between your plan and your actions. You have to train your brain to stay calm under pressure. This isn't something that happens overnight. It takes deliberate practice. It takes the courage to look in the mirror and admit that you are the reason you are failing. It is much easier to blame the broker, the news, the manipulated candles, or the market makers. But blaming is a crutch. It keeps you a victim. And as long as you are a victim, you will never be a master. The journey to becoming a profitable trader is a journey into the self. You have to understand your triggers. What happens to your heart rate when you see a big red candle? What happens to your thoughts when you have 3 losses in a row? If you don't know your own patterns, you are flying blind. You need to log your emotions just as much as you log your trades. Start keeping a journal, not just for your technical entry points, but for your internal state. What were you feeling? Were you angry? Were you bored? Were you trying to prove something to your friends or family? This data is more valuable than any technical strategy. When you start to recognize these emotions, you create a space between the feeling and the action. That space is where your freedom lies. That space is where the professional trader lives. It's the ability to feel the urge to overtrade and choose not to. It's the ability to feel the pain of a loss and still follow your next trade plan with cold, clinical precision. This is the essence of trading psychology. Many of you are looking for the holy grail strategy. You buy courses, you watch YouTube videos, you jump from indicator to indicator. But you're looking in the wrong place. The strategy is the easy part. A simple breakout or a mean reversion strategy, executed with perfect discipline, will make you more money than the most complex algorithm managed by an emotional wreck. The problem isn't the method, the problem is the mechanic. You are the mechanic. If the machine is broken, no amount of fuel is going to make it run. You have to fix yourself first. This means getting enough sleep, managing your stress outside of the market, and having a life that isn't entirely consumed by the charts. If you are desperate for money, you will trade like a desperate person. And the market smells desperation like a shark smells blood. If you need this trade to pay your rent, you've already lost. The market doesn't care about your rent. It doesn't care about your dreams. It doesn't care about your ego. It only cares about liquidity. You must detach your financial needs from your trading process. This is why prop firms are such a great challenge. They force you to follow rules. They force you to be disciplined. But even then, traders fail because they can't handle the pressure of the drawdown. They see the limit, they panic, and they blow the account. The psychology of a prop firm is the psychology of a professional. You are managing someone else's money. You don't have the luxury of hope. You don't have the luxury of letting it ride. You have to be a soldier. You have to execute. And that brings us back to the question, why can't you follow your plan? It's because your plan is a set of rules, but you are a creature of habit. You have spent years building habits, procrastination, impulsivity, impatience. You cannot expect to break those habits in a week. It requires a total restructuring of your daily routine. Start small. If you can't follow your plan for a whole day, follow it for one trade. If you can't do one trade, do the first 5 minutes of the market. Build the muscle of discipline, one rep at a time. It's like going to the gym. You don't walk in and lift the heaviest weight on day one. You start with the bar. You build your mental capacity to handle the market. And as you build that strength, you start to see the charts differently. You stop seeing the money and you start seeing data. You stop seeing a losing and you start seeing the cost of doing business. You stop seeing a winning and you start seeing the statistical outcome. This shift in perspective is what separates the 1% from the 99%. It's a shift from I want to be right to I want to be profitable. You don't need to be right to make money in this market. You just need to have an edge and the discipline to let that edge play out over a large sample size. Most traders never reach this point because they quit when the pain gets too high. They view failure as a sign that they aren't meant to trade. But failure is the tuition you pay for your education. Every loss is a lesson if you are willing to learn. The only real failure is when you quit or when you refuse to change your behavior. Look, the market will always be there. It will be there tomorrow, next year, and in 10 years. You don't need to conquer it today. You just need to survive today so you can trade tomorrow. That is the ultimate goal of risk management. It's not about how much you can make, it's about how much you can keep. When you protect your capital, you protect your sanity. When you protect your sanity, you protect your ability to think clearly. It's a cycle. A positive feedback loop. And it starts with the very first trade you take after you finish this video. Take a breath. Look at the chart. Ask yourself, am I taking this trade because my system says so, or because I feel like I need to be in the market? If the answer is the latter, walk away. Close the laptop. Go for a walk. The market is not going anywhere. Your ego, however, is very fragile. Protect it by staying disciplined. Remember, the market is a reflection of your internal world. If your internal world is chaotic, your trading will be chaotic. If your internal world is calm, organized, and disciplined, your trading will naturally follow suit. You don't need more indicators. You don't need a more expensive monitor setup. You need to sit in the silence, face your demons, and decide that you are no longer going to be the person who breaks their rules. You are going to be the person who respects the process. You are going to be the person who understands that the only way to win is to stop playing the game of emotions. It's time to grow up. It's time to stop looking for shortcuts and start doing the hard, boring work of consistency. You have the potential. You have the access. Now, you need the character. The market is waiting for you to prove that you have what it takes. Will you fold under the pressure, or will you rise to the occasion? The choice is yours, and it's made in every single heartbeat of the market. Master your psychology, or the market will master you.